You have to think about yourself as we age. We're like a battery. It just takes a little bit longer for us to recharge, at 40 than it did at 20, right? So you have to give yourself more time to rest and not feel guilty about that rest, because without it, you can't actually perform in the way that you want to show up for your family and for your coworkers. It's not going to be possible.
Welcome to Living My Breastless Life podcast. I'm your host, HPG. On season 3 of the podcast, we're diving into the helping profession. I have found that almost always there's a catalytic event that leads people to help others. You'll hear a variety of folks share what they do, why they do it, and the unique ways that they help. This season will mostly be guest interviews with some fascinating people and a few surprises for y'all along the way. So let's go. Welcome to episode 47. In honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I had the pleasure of interviewing a fantastic survivor. Melissa resides on the beautiful island of St. Thomas. When not spending time with family, you can find her cooking up a storm, channeling her creative side, or jet setting to new destinations. After her cancer diagnosis, Melissa realized she had been playing life too safe and small. She made a commitment to take action, which led her to pursue and establish the Wealthy Mama brand. Melissa inspires overwhelmed mothers to prioritize self-care and craft lives they truly love. Melissa is delighted to be sharing her journey and moving from fear to bold faith here on the podcast today. So Melissa, tell us about what you do.
Well, I am a time management and self-care coach for working mothers. I like to think of it as I really want to work on the deep stuff with moms. I want to get them to prioritize themselves and really just unplug from having to do all the things and be all the things to everyone. And what I realized is that they kept saying, I don't have the time. I don't have the time to do it. It's like, you know what? I'm going to help you find the time. So that's why it's both time management and self-care. It's really self-care through time management and working with them to utilize their calendar and some other project management tools that I use in business all the time, but really applying that to your home life and your life schedule. I really enjoy doing that. And I love, because I am a data nerd, I love being able to see the progress we're making because we are using the calendar. So over time, we can actually see how much rest are you getting? How much workout time are you getting? All the things that are really important to you. How much time are you spending with your family? We can actually see the progress because we're tracking it on your calendar. So I really love that. It feels like a very tangible way to help. And I feel like my clients get a lot of value in that way as well.
That's wonderful. I have a 3-year-old and I work and have a podcast. I'm a coach and I wear all the hats. I'm kind of like the family manager, the CEO, the CFO, the COO. And it's like trying to juggle plates with both hands and then some on my head and maybe one on my left tippy toe. And your service is incredibly needed.
I don't love that it's needed, and I think probably the whole point of this is to coach myself out of a job someday because moms will be so great at balancing things and setting boundaries and those kinds of things. But for now, because I have been through all of that working in corporate America, now also having a business, I know that it can be so hard as life changes, as your kids go through all of these different stages of life, how much guilt we put on ourselves for not being there when really and truly many of us, if not a lot of us, the majority of us are doing a really great job. And we don't give ourselves credit for it because we have the bar so high that it's just unattainable. So a lot of what I do too has to do with shifting the way we see what success looks like as a mom.
Yes. Have you noticed any common themes that you would like to share?
Absolutely. So perfection is huge. I mean, so many of us were so lucky to have great mothers. And I think that we think of doing it the way our moms did it. We don't always consider one, if they were happy doing it the way they did it. And we have so much more access to technology and information. And I think that we should get a chance to redefine motherhood and or define it for ourselves. We're very different and we're living in a different time. So perfection is one of those things that, keep it comes up so often. I don't think I've met with a mom yet that wasn't struggling with perfectionist goals for herself. I think the other thing too is, especially since I work with working moms, women having to show up in the workplace and us feeling like they have to show up a certain way because they are a woman. There's a lot of just pressure that we put on ourselves and a lot of times we're overperforming. We always say things like, oh yeah, I just want to get a head start, on the next day, but we do it every day. There isn't a time where we say, I'm going to pull back and actually get some rest. And then that leads me to sleep. We're not sleeping as well as we should. We're just not getting enough rest. And one of the things that I really strongly believe in is not just managing our time, but also managing our energy, right? When we look at your calendar, we're strategically aligning things in a way that go with your natural flow of energy. So yeah, those are just a couple things right now off the top of my head that I can think of.
Those themes really ring true for me. And yeah, just like the idea of scheduling time for yourself, like putting that on the calendar, if that works for you, that's pretty genius. And if you're trying to which I'm on a quest for rest, the sleep hygiene, and, as a mama, it's hard to turn your mama ears off.
It's so true. I think we always have to be on. I was just talking to my best friend about this and she was so burnt out. She was like, I just need a break. And I was like, you have to think about yourself as we age. We're like a battery and it just takes a little bit longer for us to recharge, at 40 than it did at 20, right? So you have to give yourself more time to rest and not feel guilty about that rest, because without it, you can't actually perform in the way that you want to show up for your family and for your coworkers. It's not going to be possible.
Definitely. That is so true. I'm 43, had my daughter when I was 40. So this is not the same body. It's been through a lot too. So tell us what led you to doing this type of coaching with working moms and help them live their best life.
Well, I did not set out to be a coach. I actually used to think that life coaches were a bit woo-woo for me. So I apologize to all life coaches because, I think that was a lot of the fear of my own perfectionism showing up. I'm a Caribbean girl and we're raised to do certain types of jobs that bring in a certain amount of money. And, I've always just wanted to make my parents proud. So I took that corporate track and, did kind of like the analytics, the data. I stepped into the data world and I'm good at it, but it wasn't what I was truly passionate about, but it paid the bills, right? And it made my parents feel really good about saying, oh, my kid does this and she works here, So when I was diagnosed with breast cancer in December 2020, and I thought that I wasn't going to have much more time on earth. I didn't know. I lost my father to cancer, my sister to breast cancer. So we just didn't have a great track record in my family with cancer. So I didn't have a whole lot of hope when I first found out that I had breast cancer. And those first couple of days, I just remember having so many regrets. I didn't try enough things. There were so many things that I wanted to do with my life that I just was too scared. And I was worried about what people were going to think of me. And I was like, man, I wish I had done it differently. So I like to say I made a deal with God. I don't know if it works like that, but I was like, if you let me stick around, I'm going to do better. I'm going to be more fearless. And even if I still have the fear, I'm going to show up anyway. And I'm going to take the steps. I'm going to take bold action. And I'm going to do the things that you placed in my heart. So I just started taking little steps. And that just meant sharing more on Instagram about my journey and putting myself out there a little bit more. That led me to connecting with more people. And one of the people I connected with on Instagram actually mentioned coaching to me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about coaching?" And I laughed about it. But she planted a seed actually. And it took me a couple more months to really dig into it. And I realized, hey, like I think this is why I'm here. Like I really love connecting with people. I love encouraging people, and I've always wanted to make a difference. And I always thought I had to do that in a very tangible data type of way. And I really just didn't even know where to start. So I ended up getting my life coach certification and I started working with women. And I realized that we had a lot in common in terms of just not taking care of ourselves and worrying about everybody else, right? And in the process, beating ourselves up, which is just so unkind. So the more that I worked with women, the more that I realized that working moms was a population that just didn't get a lot of help, didn't get a lot of support. I think we all know that they have a lot to juggle, but no one really is stepping up to say, "Hey, let me help you solve this problem." And as a working mom myself, I was like, you know what? These are my people. Like I want to take the charge and, try to make a difference in this space. And the time management came based on what I said earlier. Like I really started with self-care for moms. And because time was such a constraint for them, I realized I could use my project management certification and background to bring a lot of those elements that we use in business every day to our everyday lives. So
I'm really sorry about your dad and your sister.
thank you.
I can relate. I know each journey is unique. My dad passed away 10 years ago, and he did not die from cancer, but it's really rampant on his side of the family. And I had lost so many family members. So when I got it, I kind of felt like, okay. And my daughter was one. And, we had a long journey to get her here. So it was just really scary. And I think when you go through something like, or I can only speak for myself, but when you go through something like that and you're close to possibly the end, it's incredibly reflectionary. And I had a period of time where I was like, I can't make what I was doing before make any sense. And because I worked full time through cancer treatment, I always tease, I don't know if I'm crazy or tenacious or both, and completely burnt myself out. So I can relate, and I'm glad that we are both survivors and talking today.
I am. I am too. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry about your dad as well. I think, I hate that we had to go through this. I really do. But I'm also very grateful for it as well because I needed the wake up call. I was just living life way too small, way too scared. And I'm just enjoying my life so much more. And I'm glad that I was able to be here and experience this because I don't even know if I knew that this feeling was real. It felt very Disney movie, pie in the sky that people tell you about. But I mean, I'm not by any means, if anyone was looking in at my life now, would say that my life is extraordinary. But I wake up with so much joy. And I think that's what I want for moms. It's not just, I want you to have time to take care of yourself. I want you to love your life like you can. And it can look very routine to anyone else, and they don't even have to understand it. But if you wake up and you're excited about what you're going to do, and, you're excited about who you're going to spend time with, and you've carved out the time, like, I feel that's a life well lived. And so many of us think we have to be like a celebrity or like do these like crazy, amazing things in order to experience that. But it's not, I don't think it's true. And I think I'm proving it every day. I'm probably annoyingly positive, but I'm okay with that. Like, It's just something that I want to help other women accomplish and not in my way. Like I want to help you figure out what that is for you. And then let's together figure out what decisions need to be made, what needs to be delegated, what boundaries need to be in place, what conversations need to happen in order for you to have a life that you just love.
I love that. I love that you say like that you wake up joyful and helping folks define or redefine what that is for them on their terms. That's beautiful. I think sometimes like the catalytic event in our life can be our greatest teachers and our obstacles can be our opportunities.
I love that. It's so true. I mean, I never thought that I would be thankful or grateful for having a cancer diagnosis, especially with the history in my family. But, I say this all the time, just like, I feel like I'm living for them too. Like, I don't want to take my life granted because I have it. And my dad and my sister, they don't. So I just don't want to waste any more of my life.
Thank you so much for sharing that and for being so vulnerable. It's very inspiring to connect with someone who's been through something similar and see, what we fought so hard for and be on the other side.
Thank you. I'm still working on, every day is a step that I have to take and choose. I was telling my son this morning, I was like, we choose happiness. It's a choice, and we don't always have to be happy, but we have more power over our life than I think we give ourselves credit for. And it can come through some hard decisions and some tough conversations, but it's so worth it to live a life that feels very much like you.
Yeah. And I think for me, like going through breast cancer and losing my hair and losing a lot, you're like, who am I? And it's a time to live the version of you that has probably been there all along, but just maybe burdened by the weight of other people's opinions and a boatload of limiting beliefs. And it's our time to shine, Melissa.
Yes, I love it. Yes. Shine so bright. People got to wear glasses. I love it.
And I remember talking to my best friend when we were getting ready to move at the beginning of this year. And she's like, you've always had big energy. You've always had big energy. Like, and she encouraged me, like, don't play small, play big. And it's defined by me. I just want a nice little life, but playing big by my terms.
Exactly. And no one else, like I said, no one else has to have an opinion. I mean, it's just the way it is, And I'm 40, turned 40 this year. And I really I was like, man, if I had this insight when I was 30, oh my gosh, like I would have been unstoppable. Imagine what I could have been able to do. So, being able to even work with younger women who are new mothers. Oh man, I love that so much because it's like they don't have to go through all of the turmoil, the years of turmoil of just living for other people, all the punishment. I would love to catch people a little bit earlier too, before they beat up on themselves so long. But, I just want us to love ourselves as much as we love everybody else around us.
And it's possible. We can do it.
Yes, yes, yes. We are doing it. We are doing it.
Melissa, tell us where we can find you.
So I have a YouTube channel. Find me at The Wealthy Mama on YouTube. And I also have a Substack, same name, The Wealthy Mama. That's my newsletter. I send that out every 2 weeks. And I call it The Well because every 2 weeks I send out 4 resources, something to write, something to eliminate, something to learn, and something to love. So I love that. And I love acronyms. I'm cheesy like that. And that's okay. And then I also have my Instagram. I'm not on Instagram as much anymore. I go on there every so often because I like to practice what I preach, right? Like I love the idea of choosing the things that matter the most to you. And right now that's my YouTube and my Substack. And sometimes I post some personal things on Instagram. So wherever you feel comfortable, please do follow and share with the people that you love and think that it could be helpful to them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that and for being on the show today, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so wonderful talking to you. Your spirit is just so calm and welcoming and nurturing without any of the judgment. So I just really enjoyed being here.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Living My Breastless Life. Head over to Instagram and follow According to HPG to stay connected to the show. Go get your mammograms.